Hello everyone and welcome back to the AFL Fantasy Fanatics YouTube channel. Thursday is here, which means we have some more captains for you ahead of round 10. Captains last week, obviously a little bit tricky when one of your top options in the Sock Wanking Miller is laid out, and he was, I think he was he number 2 or number 3? Well, he was really quite high, so I think a few people got bumped up. So we did have Baz at number 1, who obviously went really well for his 127. Dawson was, I think he was bumped up number 2. I was pretty sure I had in the site number 2. Dawson at number 2 for 133. Had Whitfield at number 3 because he got bumped down just a spot. I actually had him at number 4 because of just the injury concern, and then he obviously went back up number 3. So a lot of moving parts last week with injuries and everything like that. Cozzy at 4 for 58, and then had Finn Callan for a 95 at number 5. So yeah, very interesting week for captains last week with all the changes and stuff. So, but yeah, hopefully no more dramas like that this week. That'd be nice. So let's go through my top 10 captains for you ahead of round 10. So we'll go to the number 1 option of the week. And I've got Archie Roberts sitting at the top there at number 1. So he is absolutely smashing it at the moment, Archie Roberts, averaging over 132 points since round 4. Listen to some of these scores. 136, 164, 117, 134, 85, 157. Absolutely smashing it. And if you can get that as a captain or vice captain, you're absolutely loving it with some of these scores. Like lowest score, 117. He obviously had the 85 against Brisbane. Really tough matchup. Brisbane always been like that. They're very, very hard to score against. But besides that, his next lowest score, as I said, the 117. So absolutely going absolutely bananas. And really, you could look at that 117 and go, well, Zach Merritt moved into defence in that game. So in the back half, which sort of limited Roberts' ceiling there. So he's like, yeah, just absolutely smashing it. Freo as well. So they're the 7th best matchup for rebound defenders. So they're a plus 6.8 matchup, which is just showing you that there are 7 really good matchups for defenders, all giving up essentially over 6 points per matchup there. And I'm looking at the defender matchups are quite weird because normally you get a bit of a mixture of really like green matchups, few neutral matchups, and some red matchups. Whereas rebound defenders, you've really only got Adelaide is the only neutral matchup, so they're giving up essentially like what people average. Then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red matchups, and then the rest are green matchups. So obviously defenders are scoring really highly at the moment, going really well, which is why I think I'm at the moment attacking these halfback guys as captain options. Like Roberts' last 2 scores against Freo as well, 96 and 80. I'm not reading too much into that. Obviously, he's just playing so much better, sort of a lot more responsibility in this role. So have Roberts at number 1, and I do like him this week. So whether you go VC or captain is obviously an interesting one depending on who you've got as your loop. Coming in at number 2 for the week, I do have Lachie Whitfield. So obviously last week, obviously a little bit of sort of injury cloud over him, but played the game and scored a 125 and looked great. So he hasn't gone below a ton since round 3, so round 2 is his last sub-ton with a 92. So just going really, really well. Add to the fact that he's got a good matchup against West Coast, and the fact also that Lachie Ash is playing more midfield, which means Whitfield takes all the kick-ins, which he was already doing anyway, but he's obviously the main guy back there now, and he's getting all the market share back there. So he's just bumped up because of that, right? So he scored a 139 against West Coast and 102 before that. But funny enough, he's only played 2 of the last 5 games against West Coast. So just interesting there as well. But I think a few of them, it's been a few injuries and types like that going through there. But the 139 does stick out from last year. And as I said, West Coast a good matchup. They are the 4th best matchup for rebounding defenders as well. So they are giving up, what is it? They're giving up a plus 8.7. So looking like a good matchup there. So Whitfield, I've got him there. Optus Stadium, good ground, wide open spaces. I think he'll go really well, Lachie Whitfield. And then coming in as my number 3 option, I did have someone else just ahead here, but I've sort of adjusted it slightly, going through all the research and everything. But I do have Zach Butters at number 3. So coming against Gold Coast, who are over the last 5 weeks, the 2nd best matchup inside mids. Anytime I refer to sort of best matchups, so go over the past 5 weeks, I do like to look at the recent data to see if anything has changed. But yeah, they're great matchup as we know. And last 2 games against Gold Coast, Zach Butters 152, and a 133. So that 152 was I think was the last round last year. I think that was the Boki's last game, and he obviously went huge. So I think that'll happen again. No obvious tag there come from Gold Coast. Gold Coast don't tag. So I think Butters is going to have a really good game here as well. Up in Darwin, so we'll see if the conditions play any part. We sort of still saw some decent scores in Darwin for last week from some of those Gold Coast boys. So I think there's no reason why Butters shouldn't go big in this one. So I do like him. Coming in at number 4, I do have Harry Sheezel up against Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. A little bit of rain expected here. So he was at number 3, but I bumped him down 1 spot just because I sort of wonder the marks going to be slightly down, but then tails could go up. So he's still in the top 5, because the Crows are still decent matchup. So they're the 5th best matchup for inside mids over the last 5 weeks. Recent record against the Crows as well. Last 4 games, 3 tons, 113, 90, 125, 106. So decent scores there. But we know obviously Adelaide have been giving up some good scores to some of those mids. So I think Sheasel will go well. Don't see a tag coming here. If anyone's going to be tagged, I think it's LDU the way he played last week, and maybe Peatling goes to him at stoppages there, but don't see Crows really tagging here. So I think Sheasel will go quite well. So I do have him at number 4. I do want to see, though, if the rain is heavy, because if it is heavier, he could bump down again to number 5, because I do like a lot of these options this week, but I do have him sitting at number 4. Coming in at number 5, though, I do have Jack Sinclair, who is someone that could jump up a bit high if it's expected to be a lot more rain in Adelaide, which is because I'm obviously not sure how high the ceiling could be, because is he going to rack up 16 tackles or not, or a big amount of tackles, because he does like to get some marks, which is obviously nice for those ceilings guys. But Jack Sinclair, great matchup against Richmond this week, but obviously been seeing Richmond giving up loads of points. Obviously, Richmond are essentially down to the bare bone 26 players, right? They've essentially got their emergencies, and that's it. Obviously, so many injuries. And Jack Sinclair this week, obviously no Nasai, so the out of responsibility there. I know Nasai's been playing more midfield, but that's also allowed Jack Sinclair, one, to take all the kick-ins this year, pretty much, except for when Naz goes down to defence to take those kick-ins. But he's just mopping up everything. He's the general back there. And he's got a really good record against Richmond. So 146, 134 in his 2 games last year against Richmond. But then before that, 116, 105, 121. They're his last 5 scores. So really good. All over 115 except 1. And they are the 3rd best matchup, Richmond, for rebound defenders. So really good matchup here. Really like Jack Sinclair this week. And as I said, I could easily have him at number 4 there this week with the matchup there. So do like him. Let's go through my 6 through 10. So I do have Brody Grundy at number 6. He's actually bumped up a couple of spots. I had him a little bit lower, and there were even times where he wasn't in the top 10 this week, but with Darcy Cameron out this week. Obviously, if Laddams comes in, chance he could be bumped down a few spots there if he's sharing a little bit, but I think it'd be him there with, say, McLean as the chop out there. McLean played decent enough last week. But yeah, Grundy, no Cameron. I think it's a good matchup. It's a neutral matchup here. Obviously, normally Collingwood, but I think it'd be much better with it just being Oscar Steen there. Last 3 against Collingwood aren't great. 106, 81, 53. I remember that 53 was when we all owned him a couple of years ago in like the round 1 game against Collingwood. So I think it'd be much better though, because Darcy Cameron can be a restrictive ruckman to score against. And I think Grundy will go well. Had a tough score last week. Not a great score, but that was his first real bad game in a while. He hadn't gone below 116 in his previous, 5 games before that, right? So he's in good form. I think he'll bounce back to some good form against Collingwood in this game here. Number 7, I do have Luke Jackson. So a few rucks up there this week. But Luke Jackson up against the Bombers. He's just, Jackson's incredible at the moment. He's absolutely smashing it. He's in... obviously career best form for one, but he's in All-Australian form as well. He's probably the ruck at the moment that's certainly putting his hand up to be that All-Australian ruck there. His last 5 games, he's gone over 128 in 4 of them. 131, 103, 135, 129, 128. Absolutely smashing it. And they're not all easy matchups either, right? You've got Collingwood in there. Obviously, West Coast, a good matchup. That was actually his lowest score there. Bulldogs. Obviously, that was without Tim English, I think it was. Sorry, that was with Tim English, sorry, my bad. And then Hawthorn with obviously the Twin Towers last week. And that was a huge score, right? So in really good form. He scored a 144 as well against Eston last year. So I think he is in for another good game again. And he is at number 7. Could easily be at number 6, but I got him at number 7 just with Cameron being out there for Grundy's matchup. Isaac Heaney is at number 8, so up against Collingwood. So they're actually, funny enough, the 4th hardest matchup for midfielders over the last 5 weeks, which is interesting when I saw that. I feel like Collingwood can still give it some points, but Heaney's in good form. Like, he's got 92 with a Foss tag last week, so showing that he can still get it. Well, yeah, it was Foss was trying to follow him around, but obviously he took him forward, kicked a few goals. But Whitfield, sorry, not Whitfield, bloody hell, all over the shop. Heaney, yeah, like his last, pretty much, he started quite with a 98 and a 65, but since then, 126, 145, 104, 110, 92, right? So he's only sub-ton in his last sort of few games. Obviously, he was injured in that Brisbane game as well, so that was why it was a lower one there, but he's been in really good form. So do you have him at number 8? I just don't think there's an obvious sort of guy that goes to him in this game. I don't know if Perryman's still injured or not. He could be one that does go to him there. So that would just be a watch if he was to get named there. But yeah, 102, 127, 125 and 64 are his last 4 scores against Collingwood. Decent scores as well besides that 60. And coming in at number 9, probably a little bit low actually for someone particularly that's been selected by so many people in Captain Challenge. I do have Marcus Bonampelli at number 9, probably a little bit low, and obviously I still think he's still my number 1 trade target this week, so very, very good. I guess the knee is still probably still going to be maybe a little bit discomfort, obviously there. Didn't show it last week though, right? 143, went absolutely huge. Could certainly do that again. Carlton are a neutral matchup, obviously new coach. Let's see if they run a tag or not. I'm not sure if they will. They've been running Cowan on people, but does that go away now with the new coach? They just want the best midfielders in there, which is what I think they'll do. Last 4 games against Carlton as well for Bont, 100, 118, 96, 131. So decent enough scores there with a couple of good scores there. So just going down number 9, there are just, as I said, so many good options this week that I really like, that have got really good matchups. So certainly could have been higher, but I've got him sitting at number 9 at the moment. And then I do have Dane Zorko sitting at number 10. So he's not, where is he on the captain change? So not selected by too many, but his record against Geelong is very, very good, right? So funny enough, a lot of these are actually finals fantasy scores, right? Because they played, 4 times last year, and 3 of the last 5 have been in finals. So 116, the grand final last year, 130 in the qualifying final, 124, 119, and then the 126 in the prelim final from the previous year. So obviously, amazing scores. What was that? Lowest score of 116, which is in the grand final. They are the 6th hardest matchup, though, for rebound defenders over the last 5 weeks, Geelong. And I sort of just wonder, with how good he's been against Geelong in the past, the fact that Brisbane have got over it in a few of those games as well, did Geelong play someone on him? Could Mullen play a forward tag on Zorko? I still think Mullen goes to Neil, but it wouldn't shock me if that happened. Could they play someone like a Brad Close on Zorko just to keep him accountable there? Not sure. Maybe they just don't run a tag at all, right? But Zorko, great form. He does come into the top 10 this week for the captains. So the guys are just outside as well. So we'll go through the options in terms of in order here. So who did we touch on? So Baz Smith. Yep, so he's obviously up there. His 4 scores against Brisbane last year, 99 in the grand final, 82 in the qualifying final, 94, 112. So only 1 ton in the 4 games last year. And Brisbane are the 6th hardest matchup for inside mids. And obviously we know that over the last 5 weeks, and we know that they are just tough matchup in general. So it is up at the Gabba. Obviously that is a little bit of a flag as well. We know Brisbane are even harder probably to score. Well, they're just hard in general, but at the Gabba it's certainly a lot more scary. Just doesn't make my top 10. I was really tempted to put him in because of how good he's been. He went back to a good form last week with the 127. He had, that one poor score the week before against North with the tag with a 71, and then had a 107 the week before that. But every other score has been over 120 in the fantasy season. So he's been very, very good so far, but just doesn't make my top 10 just with the matchup for him. What do we got here? Nick Day, obviously Naz injured there. A few people select him, but obviously he's not playing, but he would have been good this week against Richmond, which is disappointing. Nick Dacos against Sydney, he'll just get the James Jordan tag. He actually, funny enough, went 136 against Jordan last year with the tag, but before that, 71, 123, 84. So it's been up and down. But so if you're following the trend of up, down, it means you're going to have a down one against Jordan this time. So we'll have to see. But he scored 95 against Mullen last week, so he still got to a good score. I just don't know if I could captain him or waste a VC on him this week against Sydney when we know he's going to get a tag, when there are so many good matchups in and around, particularly Butters essentially play at the same time, right? I'd rather go Butters, I'd rather go Grundy, I'd rather go probably Heaney as well. Actually, Heaney, would you call it crazy to go Dacos VC over Heaney? No, you wouldn't. But it's a much better matchup for Heaney, I think, on his side than Dacos. Unless Perryman's there, then you could consider. But I've just got better options this week, just in general, for over Nick Dacos. What do we got? Who's next here? Tris Cherry against the Crows. He just missed out as well on the top 10. So 154 against Crows last year, 77.83. But obviously he's been a little bit up and down this year, just with some with the rule change and everything. McAndrew can be a tricky matchup for rucks as well, particularly those rucks that aren't good that great at centre bounces. But I think Cherry will be in for a decent score. So again, you could have a crack at him, but not in my top 10 this week. Chris Petrarca against Port. Wouldn't shock me if a Drew went to him there. But obviously, I just think Petrarca's ceiling's capped. So and he's playing early in the round. I just don't think he's a really capped option many times, unless it's a really good matchup. But we just know Petrarca isn't a 130, 140 type guy, I don't think. because I don't think he's gone over one. He's only had over 120 once. That was a 121 against Geelong in opening round, which I think was his career best game. So just not in the top 10 for me. Petrarca, Gawn against the Hawthorn Ruck, so just not looking there. Plus, obviously, Ruck sharing, so just not in the top 10 for the moment. Lockie Ash, if he's playing midfield, the ceiling just doesn't seem to be there. Just got better options, particularly Whitfield in that matchup. So just better options this week for mine. Jordan Dawson has a good record against North Melbourne. So 4 of his last 5 have been over 100, including 3 over 120. So 103, 85, 122, 136, 129. But the big reason he's not in the top 10 this week is North Melbourne are now, for the season, are the hardest matchup. Just period. They get the least amount of points per team. So very tough matchup. I think Heaney was the top scorer last week for Sydney with the 92. So won't give out many scores even last week. And the other third hardest matchup over the last 5 weeks for inside mids as well. So not a good matchup for Dawson. But again, could go pretty well. But I've just got better options this week than him. Finn Callahan against West Coast. Again, Hoff could go to him quite easily. He just doesn't have that ceiling, right? He only got 95 last week against Essendon and 100 the week before against Gold Coast. 2 good matchups. I think he's still a decent enough trade-in target, but obviously we know he's a much better player than a fantasy scorer. So, that's the concern, and that's why he's not in the captains this week. Sarong got a good matchup, but obviously he's just been way too up and down to trust the captain. Obviously, we already talked about Zorko. Jaden Short, actually, in draft would be a really fun one against the Saints. Could rack up a fair bit of ball back there as well. Lockie Neal, I do expect to get the Mullen tag, so probably not looking there. Max Holmes against Brisbane at the Gabba. Tough matchup. Not looking there as well. Jackson against Hawthorn, just not in the form you'd like. And obviously, Hawthorn's a tough matchup. It is. And then Will Ashcroft as well. I'm probably not just... Again, I wouldn't be shocked if him and Neal were the two to get the tags from Atkins and Mullen. And tougher matchup as well. So probably not looking Ashcroft's way this week. And his CBAs did take a down tick with Hugh McCluggage back in the side. I think they went down a fair bit. And he was clearly the fourth guy behind McCluggage, Dunkley and Neal. So not for me this week. And then the one that didn't pop up there as well was Zach Merritt. Pretty up and down his last 4 against Freo. 57, 118, 109, 67. To neutral matchup, possible Wagner. Could Wagner show him any attention potentially? DeFred just not worry about tagging. MCG, again, he could have a decent score. I don't think he'll get the tag here. So it could be someone you look at as a backup captain, but I think a lot of people got Archie Roberts right. So if in that same game you're looking at Roberts as the option. So just doesn't make my top 10 this week. Merritt. Alrighty, so my plans this week. So what have I got? I think I've got all 5 of the top 5, which is the first time in a long time I think I've actually had all 5 of the players. I think I'm going Archie Roberts VC into Lockie Whitfield captain. So I've got Dev Rob as my red dot loop. Obviously, it means at the moment I don't have any forward bench cover because Lombard will be locked out, no emergency. So that's obviously the thing there as well, but it's my only way to have a look at a VC. So that's what I'm looking at doing. I did obviously consider one of Butters or Sheasel VC into a Roberts as a captain. But yeah, I just think I want to crack at the top 2. I want to crack at Roberts, particularly as a VC with the ceiling that he's got. And I don't want to miss out on that. So I'm going him VC. Free out at the MCG, wide open ground. I think he could go really well. We saw what he did against Collingwood on Anzac Day. So who knows? It could be similar there back at the MCG. So hopefully he goes well there and then Whitfield captain. So let me know in the comments below, guys, what you guys doing with your captain and vice captain for round 10. And if you do want to guarantee answers to your AFL fantasy questions, whether that be trades, captains, a full team review, you can head over to patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics, answering all your questions over there. And we could do team reviews for our Super Fanatic members as well. So if you do want to check all that out, link is in the description below. But if you do want just me to have a look at your team and give me your thoughts on that, you can head over to Ask Me on Q, spelled QU.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics for a team review. If you would like that there as well, link is also in the description for that one. So if you enjoy, as always, smash a like on the video. Always appreciate if you can just tick the thumbs up. Only takes a couple of seconds, but obviously helps us out a whole lot on the channel. So if you can do that, that'd be very much appreciated. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We're just over 250 subscribers away from 5K. Obviously, big goal coming up. If you can help us reach that goal, that'd be very much appreciated. And if you're enjoying the content, subscribe. We've got plenty more content coming throughout the rest of the year as well. So anyway, good luck with your trades this week, guys. Good luck with your captains, obviously, as well. I'll be back tomorrow with, obviously, hopefully, a few people jumping on for our pre-lockout chat. As always, 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Perth time, answering your questions ahead of Friday night footy. But until then, have a good one, and we'll see you then. Catch you, everyone. See ya.